From Maples Pavilion at Stanford University, we welcome you to the NCAA Regional Final at Stanford. The number 2 seed, Texas, the defending national champions, taking on the number 1 seed here in this regional, the Cardinal. These two teams winning 2 nights ago. It was Tennessee taking Texas to the limit before the Longhorns pulled it out in 5. Stanford needed 4 sets to dispatch their Pac-12 rivals, Arizona State. And we welcome you to Maples alongside Missy Whittemore. I am Eric Freed, and just listen to it. Stanford, Texas, iconic teams. This has the vibe of a national championship level intensity.
It does. When you think college volleyball, you think Stanford, you think Texas. These two programs have been a model of consistency in the way they dominate the postseason. But this year, there's only room for one of them in the national semifinals.
1 spot left in Tampa. Will it be Maddie Skinner and her Texas teammates getting there? She did all she could against Tennessee to get them this far. Maddie
Skinner is having herself a tournament. In 3 consecutive matches, she has had 20-plus kills, including a career-high 26 against Tennessee as she carried her team to the finish line. She is a 2-time national champion with 2 different teams. She knows how to do it. Kendall Kipp knows how to do it as well for Stanford. She is an elite attacker and blocker. You're going to see her swinging primarily from the right side. She tends to be heating up as the tournament goes on. She's actually coming off of a season-high 23 kills in their most recent win over Arizona State. She was a member of that 2019 team that won it all for Stanford, and she's looking to bookend her career with another title.
NCAA volleyball royalty. Texas, the defending national champions. They have reached this round 17 of the last 18 seasons. That's remarkable. And of course, Stanford, the most all-time NCAA championships with 9, most recently, as Missy just mentioned, in 2019. I do believe the tree looks ready. We are ready. This vocal crowd is ready, and Cammie Minor is ready to put things in play for the Cardinal. Stanford 29-3, Texas 25-4. Set to meet with a spot in Tampa on the line. And here we go. And an early whistle and a net violation called on Stanford. The first point of the match goes to the Longhorns.
You know, it's interesting to see what rotation these teams would start in, Eric. I knew for Texas we would see Maddie Skinner in left front. They want to get the most out of her offensively as they can. And for Stanford, we see them start with Kendall Kipp in left front as well.
Emma Halter, libero on the serve. Swindle sets it back. Phillips on the rip. Ogilvie, the libero for Stanford. And a good setup and a good kill. Katie Baird having a good NCAA tournament. That's her 42nd kill of the NCAA tournament.
She had double-digit kills in that win over Arizona State to get them here, but hit under 100, so I like the idea of getting her going early.
All Pac-12 selection for a 4th time in her career. They sent it to the middle. Asia O'Neal.
Really interesting, Eric. Early on, we've seen a couple swings out of Molly Phillips before she exits the match, and a swing out of Asia O'Neal down the middle. We talked to Jared Elliott about what has changed most about Texas since the first meeting between these two, and he said distribution. Notice we haven't seen the sets outside yet to Maddie Skinner. They're trying to mix it up.
That distributor is a freshman, Ella Swindle, 6'3" out of Columbia, Missouri. The distributor in this case for Stanford is the middle, Vicini, who gets the assist, setting up Elia Rubin.
And it doesn't matter who sets Elia Rubin. She cannot be stopped. Make it 52 kills now in the NCAA tournament. She is leading the way for Stanford. She is tricky good. There's so many weapons for Stanford that you tend to take your eye off Elia Rubin, and you cannot afford to.
How do you get to 52 kills? You hit 336. That one is blocked out of play. It's a point for Texas.
And right away, notice, what did Stanford do? Triple block. Even their left front, Elia Rubin sliding all the way over. They're going to put so much pressure on the left sides of Texas.
Here is Madison Skinner. On her 2nd year with Texas after 2 years and a national championship with Kentucky. Good rip. Halter, excellent job on that backline defense. That one's blocked back, and the defense comes from the center. Swindle on the block.
Swindle on the block, but how about Halter on that initial dig to extend the rally, giving her team a second chance. Here's the second chance, and Swindle is all over it.
This is an excellent defensive team. Texas averaging just under 3 blocks a set, second in Division I. A service error for the Longhorns and a point for Stanford.
And to your point, Eric, when we talked to Coach Elliott as well, one of the things that he knew had to come on as the season progressed is defense. For 2 elite teams, that is the area where they know over the course of the season they can improve the most. O'Neal
on the slide, dug out by Stanford. There's Halter. Swindle, back row attack, Skinner. Jared Elliott in his 23rd season, 586 wins. Winning a couple of national championships, most recently last December in Omaha. Amy Minor gets after it, the bump set to Rubin. Another kill for the sophomore, that's her second.
She was blocked moments ago, so what does she do? Even sharper, cuts that one inside the block.
Rubin will go back to serve for the Cardinal. Very good serving team. 7 aces against Arizona State. 7 service errors in that match, but now a service error. Number 1 for Stanford, delivered by Rubin.
Really nice communication there between Winnes and Akana. One of the fundamental differences between these two teams is that for Stanford, you're going to see all 3 of their pins play in 6 rotations. You're going to see a real consistency in their passing line. That is not going to be the case for Texas. There will be different passers in different rotations, as only Maddie Skinner will play in 6 rows.
On the attack, that's an attack error on Sammy Francis. And Texas up by 3 here in set 1. Swindle serves again. Looking for the back row attack from Kendall Kipp, and it works out. Kipp with the point.
Texas going right at Katie Baird in serve receive, and she nails it. Look at this, 3 options, and Minor chooses to go right down the middle with the back row attack from Kendall Kipp. 3 blockers up for Texas, as you would fully expect on that Vic coming from Kendall Kipp, and that opens up some spots for the off speed.
And Pringle on the serve. The sophomore puts it in play. Winnes. Block back, and no one's going to get to it. That Texas block making a difference. That's their second.
Texas had 7 blocks in set 1 alone in their match against Tennessee, and the reason why is there is no weak rotation in terms of their block. In all 6 rotations, they put a wall up.
They finished with 13 blocks in that 5-set win over Tennessee here on Thursday night. Going a long way to Baird. Defended by Texas. Looking for Skinner. And into the net, another point for the Longhorns.
And Eric, you and I have discussed, you've seen quite a few net violations here this weekend, and I just think it speaks to the urgency of those blockers to try to get a deflection. They know how high-powered these offenses are, and they're just trying with all they can to slow it down. You
have to play right to the edge. You need every inch, and sometimes you go an inch too far. There's a kill for Katie Baird.
Katie Baird splitting the court between Emma Halter and Maddie Skinner. Really nice shot around the block.
Rotating back to Minor at the service line. Serving Skinner. Swindle got there and sent it to Skinner, but she missed the mark. Back-to-back points for Stanford. Kevin Hambly's done a fantastic job after doing great work at Illinois, his alma mater. He's been here at Stanford now for 7 seasons. He's won 2 national championships, just claimed the 5th Pac-12 title in his time at the Farm. Once again, Skinner being served. Once again, Skinner gets up. Great job by Barnes to save it. Skinner off the net. Chance here for Stanford. Kick off hands. Swindle got there. Great dig. Knit the scoreboard, but it stayed on Stanford's side, so we play on. Right side attack. Another one dug out. Great point here in set one. Minor goes the long way. Skinner again.
Eric, the great thing about the fact that Texas started Maddie Skinner in left front and that Stanford started Kendall Kipp in left front is that we get the Maddie Skinner Kendall Kipp matchup that we had hoped for. Not only are they both up there swinging, but they're blocking one another. This is going to be so much fun.
Career high 26 kills against Tennessee, 5 in the fourth set, 6 kills in the fifth set. Stanford gets that point.
Nearly celebrated too soon. Emma Halter with the kick save, but kicks it well into the bleachers, and no one can get to that one. Played up, second contact Halter. I love the effort.
Katie Barrett. Phillips blocked out of play, point Texas.
We are getting a really heavy dose of Molly Phillips early in set one. That is already her fourth attempt. She has 2 kills without an error in those 4 attempts, hitting 500. In the first meeting between these two teams, in 3 sets, she had only 9 attempts.
Coming off a 9-kill match in the win against Tennessee, hit 500, also had 4 blocks. She checks out, and Kaylee Akana is on. Kendall Kipp gets the point for Stanford.
Sneaks one through as Asia O'Neal isn't quite able to close quick enough to her left. Doesn't have the low press over the net. And Kendall Kipp sneaks one through.
Elena Ogilvy, the senior from Honolulu, back to serve for the Cardinal. Connor looking for Skinner again. Goes with the soft touch. Looked like maybe double contact there. We're playing on. If Stanford wins this point, surely we're going to get a challenge from Texas, but no need here.
Elite play by Maddie Skinner there in left front, knowing she had a big block waiting on her. That's a bump set coming out of the back row. Looks tight to me, and she still manages to go up and handle that off speed around the board.
Texas hitting .412 so far here in set one. 5 of the 8 kills for Skinner. Back for Kipp, diving play by guess who? Skinner. Swindle looks for Wenis. Jenna Wenis. 11 kills against Tennessee. Gets one here to put Texas on top by 4.
Wenis had an outstanding second-round match. Had a tough matchup against Tennessee and really battled to get to double-digit kills, but it was hard work. Good to see her get one on the board here early.
That's a rip right down the line by Rubin for the point.
Rubin does it all. She's an elite passer. That might be the first thing you notice about her. She defends, but she has all the shots in the front row.
And she's been connecting on all those shots in the NCAA tournament. 19 kills against Arizona State in the 4-set win. Wenis a little off the net. Minor. And there's a kill from the right side from Sammy Francis.
Making her first in the match. Sammy Francis on the board, and we are seeing distribution key. These teams are so talented and so deep. When they get all those weapons going, it really stresses a defense.
Each team with 9 kills so far. There's O'Neal on the slide, off hands, point Texas.
And Ella Swindle, the freshman, having a little battle within the war. Moments ago, Stanford scores on the slide play, and she goes to it herself.
Freshman has done an outstanding job. Jared Elliott says she's someone who can hurt you in a lot of different ways, not just how she distributes, but we've seen her defense at the net. She'll also look for a point like she does right now.
Nice setup, Eric. She does do it all. 5 kills in their most recent win. She is an offensive weapon for sure.
87 kills on the season for the setter. 11 now in the NCAA tournament. Timeout, Stanford. Good start for Texas here at Stanford in the best of 5. Up 15-11 at the media timeout. And Asia O'Neal back to serve. And she serves up an ace.
Coach Hambley said, we know they'll serve Katie Baird. Everyone does. She handles herself very well in serve receive, but boy, does she take a lot of balls.
16 aces for O'Neal. You can see how that ball knuckles over the net as it cuts right, and how Stanford tries to answer. They answer with a point.
Nice communication that time between Elia Rubin in serve receive and Katie Baird. Elia Rubin in left back has a really nice angle at the setter, and she cuts that one off and passes it herself.
Rubin ready to serve for Stanford. Wenis tries again, and it drops in. Jenna Wenis has her second kill.
And that's no small order. 3 blockers, 2 out-of-system swings in a row. This is not easy. Even Katie Baird making her way over there to defend Jenna Wenis. She powers it through.
What's that say about Wenis when Stanford was ready with 6 arms in the air against her, and she still found a way to get the point? Good reaction by Texas. Wenis, another rip. Good dig by Rubin, by Ogilvy rather. That rolls up the tape.
Kendall Kipflake came flying in position to perhaps make a play on that ball, and then she has to react to the roll and let it go, and you see how quickly she comes back under the net. So as not to be called for that violation. If there's no one in the area, no chance of harm, she's okay there.
There's someone in the area code, but it has to be a little bit close, little tighter than that for it to be called. Swindle to Wenis again. Katie Baird. Halter. They keep trying to find Wenis, and it keeps working out for Texas right now. Up by 5 yet again.
And I'm curious to see if Stanford goes away from the triple block here, because when that triple block is up, there's a lot of space for off speed. You're really putting some pressure on your backcourt defenders.
Wenis will rotate out, 3 kills, hitting .375 on those 8 swings. Persa Barnes. Minor to Baird. Halter got it up. Skinner gets the finish because Ogilvy made contact. Point Texas.
Skinner just does a really nice job of managing swings off the net and still gets some pressure on the ball.
Stanford will take their first timeout, trailing by 6 here in set 1. You talked about the fight that Texas had. Both these coaches talked about it yesterday with us. They were really proud of how gritty and how they had to fight, because it wasn't always pretty. Both teams were making mistakes. The intensity level was high. The energy was really high. For Stanford, they were playing a Pac-12 rival for a third time. Texas was taking on a really good, aggressive, talented, offensive Tennessee team. So it wasn't always perfect, but the end result worked out because they thought they kind of had blue-collar efforts.
In that way, they were very similar matches, because Jarrett Elliott said it wasn't our prettiest match. You know, he said, but we don't have to be perfect right now. We just have to be good enough to win and advance. Sometimes in the tournament, you're just scraping by. And I think for Stanford, their response was very defensive in the fact that it wasn't their prettiest offensive match, and yet they had 70 digs. That is a season high for that team, and they did it in just 4 sets. Really impressive.
So that's what happened here in Stanford. There is recent history between these two teams this season, because they try to play every year, and they played back on September the 3rd. It was Banner Day at Gregory, where Texas unveiled their championship banner, and Stanford got a sweep over Texas.
Yeah, and this was a match where Stanford had only 7 hitting errors, 7 attack errors over the course of the entire 3 sets. Right now, Stanford already has 3, and we haven't finished set 1 yet. So it was a very perfect performance from Stanford. And I think you have to remember, this was a Texas team who was replacing 3 starters in crucial roles, still trying to find their way, and I expected this one to look a little different.
And in that match, Asia O'Neal was only in her 2nd match back, as she was coming back from an injury. Saw the series history between these two teams. There is Kendall Kipp floating in from the rack row to get the point. In that matchup in Austin, Stanford hit .396. Texas hit .130. Kipp had a match-high 15 kills and hit .343. Elia Rubin was very good as well. with 14 kills.
Stanford heading to Texas, their first home loss since 2017. So you know that the Longhorns have a little revenge in mind here tonight.
Service error number 2 for Stanford. Emma Halter back to serve. Again at Katie Baird. Baird off the mark. No touch. Point Texas.
And you can see Texas is bent on just wearing Katie Baird down. As I said, all 3 of their pins will play in 6 rotations. They are not going to give her a break.
Again at Baird. Receives it well, and it works out well. Tip with the kill.
Now, Texas may decide to go away from that if she is able to settle in
that's the
and pass
passing
as well as she is. And sometimes the more you serve someone, the more comfortable they get. So we'll keep our eye on that.
Baird heads back to serve. Had 3 aces on Thursday in the win against Arizona State. Skinner. Ogilvy. That's again one that clips the scoreboard, but it stayed on Stanford's side. So we play on. Sent back by Stanford. Setting the middle again. O'Neal drops the hammer for the point.
2 in a row from Ella Swindle. We saw it a swing from Asia O'Neal. It's well defended by Stanford. Free ball, and they go right back to her. Gives her that one-on-one opportunity.
We welcome those of you who watched Wisconsin earn their spot in Tampa by knocking Oregon out of the tournament in 4 sets. Eric Freed, Missy Whittemore with you here at Maples Pavilion at Stanford University. Set number 1. Texas, after a tight first part of the set, has taken control, up by 6 here late. Stanford serving right now, trying to battle back here in the first set. Asia O'Neal, who's played very, very well throughout her career, but certainly in what is her final NCAA tournament, leading Texas now to a 7-point lead here in set 1. Madison Skinner had 26 kills in the regional semifinal, has 6 in the first set so far. Kendall Kipp also coming up a strong match in the regional semifinals with 23 kills, a season high, setting the pace for Stanford. Jenna Wennis, Katie Baird got it for Stanford. Kipp sends it over to Akana. Swindle back to O'Neal for another kill. That's number 5.
Ella Swindle's doing this incredible job of disguising her release. You're not sure where this ball is going to go. It does not allow Sammy Francis of Stanford to release early at all. She's waiting and trying to chase, and I'm not sure that anyone can catch up with the speed of that slide.
Skinner serving for the set. Rubin blocks. Baird to Minor. O'Neal saw a lot of room in the back. Found that opening and ends set 1. A convincing victory in set 1 for Texas.
And an important victory because so far we have seen today that the home court has been a big advantage, and Texas is trying to make sure that is not the case here in Palo Alto as they come out sizzling hot, 485 in set 1.
3 spots are filled in Tampa, 1 to go. The number 1 seeds all winning today. Nebraska, Pittsburgh, Wisconsin just knocking off Oregon. Stanford, the number 1 seed here, but they just dropped set 1 to the number 2 seed, Texas. Stanford, Texas, 2 of the biggest names in volleyball across the years. Of course, Texas winning the national championship last year. Stanford has won it 9 times, most recently in 2018 and 2019. We talked at the top of our broadcast here tonight. This is a national championship level feel here in this building here today, and it's just for a spot in the national semifinal.
Yes, volleyball, royalty, and you have the defending champs against the most decorated team in the history of college volleyball.
Stanford's last time going to the national semifinal was when they won it all in 2019. Texas trying to return make it back-to-back years. What stands out to you from set number one? What is the biggest difference that has Texas in front 1-0?
Well, the Stanford Cardinal had 5 attack errors in set one. In their win earlier this season, they had 7 in the entire match. So a lot more errors than they had hoped for, and they're going to have to bring that efficiency up because they are supposed to be the #1 hitting efficiency team in the country. And right now, Texas leading the way.
Ruben gets the first point of set 2. Texas had 1 attack error in the first set.
Yeah, hit 485. And right away, as we start set 2, we talked about where these teams would start in the rotation. Texas, of course, they went Madison Skinner in left front. Guess what? Stanford has flipped the script. They have turned the dial. They have Sammy Francis in left front. And now Kendall Kipp will be in the back row for the first 3 rotations. A different matchup completely.
Stanford has its first lead. Skinner drops it down, and that's a number that jumps out too from the first set, Missy. Texas, their side-out percentage in the first set was 88% compared to 58% for Stanford. That means they did not allow Stanford to build up any momentum, any runs. They got points when they needed them.
And that is so key because everyone will tell you Stanford is an elite serving team. They are able to create pressure in all 6 rotations, and I really thought that the Texas passers handled themselves very well. The question now is, can Texas keep their foot on the gas? Because we saw this Texas team in set 2 against Tennessee, 14 errors in set 2 alone in that first round of the regional, against Tennessee. And Coach Elliott did not like it. So they have got to stay at a high level of play.
There's an ace for Ruben.
There's the serving pressure. There's the shakiness in the passing game that they're hoping to create.
You talk about leaving the foot on the gas. We all watched volleyball all day long, including these 2 teams. So we know and we've seen what happens if you take your foot off the gas. This is something that the teams that are down are looking for a little opening. And we saw how the momentum built in Pittsburgh. We saw how when Arkansas battled back, that Nebraska crowd got things going and pushed them back to victory.
No surprise, we have not seen a 3-setter yet today, and we are not surprised about that.
Kaylee Akana with the serve for the Longhorns. Minor to Francis. O'Neal calls for it. Skinner off hands, out of play. That is her 8th kill already. Remember, when we were last with you on Thursday, Madison Skinner had 5 kills in the 4th set, then 6 kills in the 5th set to help Texas pull out that victory over Tennessee. Remember, there's only played a 15 in that 5th set.
What I'm most impressed with about Madison Skinner is that so many of those kills as an outside hitter who cleans up a lot of junk are coming out of system with blockers waiting on her, and she is managing her game at a really high level.
Texas can't handle that. It's a point for Stanford. Now, to be clear, that match against Tennessee, they did go extra in that 5th set. 16-14 was the final. Here's Anna Pringle. Good serve, kind of got there. Skinner again. Kendall Kipp saved it. Baird, great angle. Saw it, took it, finished it.
Katie Baird's going to have 4 kills now. She was a key contributor, double-digit kills in the first meeting between these 2, and she had really just returned to the Stanford lineup. But she had a great start in her return to the lineup. They're going to need that from her again tonight.
Kipp on the attack. Skinner. Pringle. Good up. Baird has to bump it over. Off hands. Pringle again. Ruben got it. Pringle called for it. Off the tape. Point, Texas. Great rally. That's great fight, though, by Stanford, too, and that's something that stood out for Kevin Handley.
Look at this defense.
Semifinals.
We said 70 digs in their match on Thursday, a season high. They're doing everything they can to match it. This is an elite team who returned 7 starters, and Coach Handley said, where can we improve? We can improve in our team defense because that is something that is effort-based. You know, you can get better at over the course of the season, and I think they definitely have.
Piccini on the slide gets the kill. Her 2nd kill of the match.
Setter front row here, no right side attack, but rather than sending her all the way out to the pin, they go on a tight slide here to Vicini. She easily works her way around the block.
19 kills in the tournament now for the redshirt senior. Good job by Ogilvy. Swindle sends it back tight at the net. O'Neal denied. Wennis. Baird had to reset her feet. This one she steps into, and it works out for Stanford. Up by 3.
What a smart reset by Katie Baird. Doesn't try to do too much on that first swing and error her team out of that rally. That reset meaning she hits it into the block. Her team right there to pass it back up, and they get a better look the second time.
Tammy Minor.
They are going at Wennis.
Off hands, Rubin got it back. They look for Baird again.
From a very mellow Stanford team, we are starting to see quite a bit of emotion.
The fans feeling it and fueling it. Timeout at Stanford. Well, to your point, the number of errors that Stanford made in the first set, they couldn't overcome those in set 1. I think maybe the turning point for Stanford, Missy, in this set was a point they lost.
Yeah.
The one that they stayed in that point for a long time because that was the most emotion he had shown all match, and the team has kind of rolled off that since.
Isn't that the great thing about defense, though? Because they don't win that point, and yet it created an energy in this gym that the players fed off of. Just the effort, you know, the long rally, the fact that they stayed in it defensively. And I love the fact that even though they didn't win that point, we've seen it turn this match.
Good serve out of the timeout called by Texas. Ogilvy to Baird. The block goes out of play. 4-0 run for Stanford.
Katie Baird's 7th. And here in the second set, we're seeing her get some better in-system looks. And she's starting to find a groove, which is not good for Texas. When you can get all 3 pins going for Stanford, it could be the most dangerous trio of pins in the country.
Swindle to O'Neal, and that ends the run.
The Swindle to O'Neal connection is elite now at this point in the season. It's one of the biggest difference between the early meeting and this meeting. You've got a freshman setter in Ella Swindle. She was in high school a year ago this time, right? And you've got Asia O'Neal, who spent her summer with USA Volleyball. So at the beginning of the season, they're just learning one another, and that is not the case anymore.
Took a little time to develop, but now it is clicking beautifully for Texas. Off the block, the kill for Kip. That's her 6th.
That's Kendall Kipp swinging from the left side, which she will do regularly in that particular rotation. Their pins are very interchangeable, and you'll see Kipp stay on the left side and swing. Gives her some chances to swing against the setter in the front row as a blocker, and Katie Baird will stay over there on the right side.
Back row attack for Skinner. That's off the mark. Point for Stanford.
Seeing some serving pressure from Stanford, but honestly, Jenna Wynn has handled that ball very nicely. The set was a little inside to Maddie Skinner, and she wasn't able to get there with her feet. It's really the footwork that creates the error.
11-5 Cardinal. And now a service error for Stanford. That is their 4th. Swindle goes back to serve for the Longhorns. They've won 7 in a row. Rubin. No touch. I think Kevin Hambley's going to go get the card, though. So the call on the court is that there was no touch, that Rubin had the attack error. If it's not overturned, that's the first attack error of this set for Stanford after 5 in set 1. Big reason why they're in front.
Really clean here for Stanford in set 2. For Texas, only 1 error as well, but only 4 kills to Stanford's 8. So they have not been able to generate the offense that looked like it came so easy in set 1. Let's take another look at this Elia Rubin swing. The challenge is going to be whether or not there was a touch. Original call on the floor is out of bounds, no touch. So we'll need indisputable evidence in order to overturn that call on the floor.
Okay, we're going to look at the right pinky and index finger of Molly Phillips on the right side to see if there was contact. That's what they're examining. We can back it up and pause it and blow up the image as well. It's like magic. I say that. A little flex in the fingers there. Is it hard to see against the trademark tape fingers?
Yeah, I have to say, I think the tape on the fingers might make it more difficult to make this call. So perhaps that's a good strategy there by Texas, I think.
Does that right pinky stretch back a little bit? That's what is being examined right now. Patty Rolfe is our R1. Nikki Cathall is down at the monitor right now.
And if Kevin Hamley does not win this challenge, he loses that challenge. So it's vitally important early in the match to hold on to those cards.
It would leave Stanford with 1 through the 4th sets if we get that far. And if we get to a 5th set, they'd be given an additional challenge.
Molly Phillips very interested in the outcome of this call. It is her pinky that we are questioning.
Molly, your right pinky is the center of attention right now.
Yes, it is.
Well, we had extended conversations with both head coaches about replay. Obviously, the Tennessee-Texas match took 3 hours and 11 minutes. There were some very long reviews.
The great thing about replay is that everyone has the same goal. They want to get it right. And that's the good news. The bad news is that sometimes those touch calls can take a while, and I do not envy these officials.
So the challenge is successful. It looked like to me there was a little bit of a bend with that pinky finger, but again, the officials are looking at different images than we have. They may have a sharper look and something that there's a camera right there at the net too for them. So the call is overturned. It is a point for Stanford. Stanford has 2 challenges remaining, and they have a 6-point lead. Swindle with the set. Ogilvie with the dig. Rubin hangs in the air and floats it down for the point. All Stanford here in set 2.
Cami Minor well off the net, shows off those strong hands she has, ability to deliver the ball in the window no matter where she is on the court, and a finesse play from Elia Rubin.
Elia Rubin now up to 58 kills in the NCAA tournament. She's averaging better than 4 kills a set. 4.2 entering this match, and on the season she was 3.5. So she was really good in the regular season. She has raised her level of play in this postseason.
Yes.
Len Ogilvie, the 2-time Pac-12 Libero of the Year with the serve. And they set the middle, and that's Bella Bergmark, California native, who started her career at Cal. Now in this gym taking on Stanford.
The result of an absolutely perfect pass from Madison Skinner. Playing in 6 rotations, passing right there in the middle of the floor, and she nails it.
Bergmark from Larkspur, California. Minor sets it back for Kendall Kipp. Minor now to the middle, and Francis. Alter kept it alive for Texas. Kipp on the outside, and the block is there. Phillips at the net for Texas.
Eric, we get this 1/2 of a rotation where we've got Skinner on Kipp after Stanford spun the dial to start set 2, and Maddie Skinner definitely getting the best of her there. This is exactly why Stanford made this change in the 2nd set.
Barnes with the serve. Minor picked it off the net. Rubin found the mark again.
Beautiful footwork by Elia Rubin. This ball is hanging up inside, and she gets her feet there. Watch this. Cami Minor on the run has to bump set it. It's inside, and Elia Rubin speeds up her approach. Fast feet to get to the ball and give herself that angle.
So Kip now out of the front row, back to serve, and a service error. That is number 5 for Stanford. They had 7 in the 4-set match against Arizona State here on Thursday.
They had 7, but they also had 7 aces. So it was really nice pressure from them from the service line. You just don't want those errors to come at inopportune times.
Cammy Minor was looking for the kill. That's tight at the net. Halter for Skinner. Double digits now with 10 kills.
And Madison Skinner with great footwork as well. Watch her again. These outsides having to deal with a lot of bump sets that are hanging up in there in the air, and they're doing a great job of accelerating their approach, the speed of their approach, to get inside that block.
Back row attack, Kendall Kip.
Kendall Kip on the Bic, right down the middle. It is a legit weapon out of the back row.
Both teams really, with Skinner and Kip, just beautiful to watch when they get that running start and get airborne. And it's an ace for Stanford. Texas gambled and watched it land in play.
This serve doubly good for Alia Rubin because not only does she paint the inline, she's got location, but she also is able to hit a seam. So she creates some miscommunication between two passers.
Baird. Minor back to Baird. Skinner went over the antenna, so that's going to be a point for Stanford.
I appreciate Texas's effort to get a swing out of this, not to just pass it over, but it is tough out there when it's that tight to the antenna.
How about this crowd fired up? Hey, our sleepy tree is back for more tonight. If you're watching anywhere in the world, welcome, because you're watching two teams that have some pretty impressive numbers, and it's strength versus strength here tonight.
Stanford leading the nation in hitting efficiency, and Texas third in the nation in blocks per set. That's why this is such an incredible matchup.
Baird is long, no touch. Point Texas.
To their strengths, Eric, if you take a look at this point in the match, Texas has registered 4 blocks, Stanford yet to register a block. And after holding Stanford below their average to 250 in set 1, Stanford has raised their level, hitting at 385 now here in the second set. And that's why they're leading on the scoreboard as well.
Here is Akana. Minor to Baird. That's blocked out of play. Stanford back in front by 7. Pringle and Vicini come back on for the Cardinal. Pringle will head back to serve. Skinner. That missed the mark. Largest lead of the set and the match right now for Stanford.
Skinner, interestingly, just wide, and then a prolonged discussion as her teammate huddles together. She makes the error, but then she steps up as a leader. And Coach Elliott has talked about the leadership and the experience they have. Can they lean into that? And can those players step up to the plate? I think we're seeing Maddie Skinner more than capable of stepping up to the plate.
High number of service errors so far for Stanford. That's 6 so far. Maddie Skinner, like, oh, I need a ball. And she's got it. 10 kills already for Skinner. She's been the team leader in kills in every match but 4 this season. Baird hangs in the air and drops it down. Well, we talked about the issues with siding out in that first set. It was such a huge edge for Texas, but it is now evened up at this point in set number 2, and as a result, Stanford has prevented Texas from going on some extended runs, or any runs for that matter, and they're up by 8.
Have to like what you're seeing from Cammy Minor in terms of her distribution. Katie Baird leading everyone with 9 kills. You've got Rubin, 8, Kip 7. That is perfect.
Oh, that's Asia O'Neal. Not only is it hard to see, it is hard to see because she hits it so hard, but you always hear it and you feel it in your feet because she hammers it.
And you're seeing, again, these Stanford middles are waiting and trying to release, and there is no catching up to that when it's a perfect pass. You would never know at this point in the season that this is the first year Ella Swindle has been delivering the slide to Asia O'Neal.
And once again, Texas gets a point. Stanford comes back right after and gets a point of their own.
And it's a duel right now as the setters are battling it out. Middle blocker attack, right back at you.
Piccini defensively for Stanford. Rubin off the touch. Point for the Cardinal.
Off the net for Rubin, and no problem. What does she do? Hard, high, off the hands. This shot is so smart. Again, getting her feet there, turning it down the line, but she knows exactly what she's doing there, that high, flat shot.
Service error number 7 for Stanford.
And for Stanford, we've talked about the fact that they're a great serving team, but in matches that they have lost over the course of this season, service errors have been an issue. You know, when they dropped that match to Florida, they had a large number of service errors in that one, so it has come back to bite them at times.
But Texas can't take advantage. They come right back with a service error of their own, gives the point to Stanford, and the Cardinal now 2 points away from evening this match up. Ogilvy, a little hard serve, but it floats long. And, you know, again, you have to remind yourself, because these two teams are so good. They're playing for a spot in the national semifinal. Intensity is high in this gym. Someone's season is going to end here tonight. There's going to be some tightness. Yeah. There's going to be some nerves.
As Coach Hambley said, they are human. They know what is on the line.
Rubin. Swindle to Skinner. Ogilvy, fight at the net, won by Kendall Kipp. That's exhibit A for how everything's gone right for Stanford here in set 2, and the crowd on their feet here at Maples. That one goes just wide. It was close, but since the score is not close, no sense in challenging it if you're Texas. It did look like it was out, and this set belongs to Stanford from start to finish. 25-15. The Cardinal take it, and we are now even at a set apiece.
See the serve here from Kendall Kipp, and this nice little combo play behind. They go to Bella Bergmark rather than Molly Phillips, but it's an error rather than a kill, and that was the story for Texas. They had only 7 kills in that entire second set to Stanford's 17. That's a 10-point swing.
Kevin Hambley, the Stanford head coach, is with us right now. Kevin, I think it was a point that you lost in this match where your team battled on defense, that you were the most fired up, and it seemed to turn things. Tell me about the grit for this team, and was that a moment for you guys where you felt things starting to turn a little bit?
I mean, I think Pringle, our little serving sub, came in and did a nice job of putting some pressure on the serve, and then she made a couple great plays. Maybe that sparked us a little energy-wise, but I think our overall service pressure was the key in that one. They were better on the serve in the first, and we were better on the serve in the second, and I think that's probably how the match is going to go the rest of the way.
Coach, you spin your starting rotation there in that second set. You guys are able to find a nice little groove and hit at a much higher efficiency. Do you think that was a key?
It was more of a defensive adjustment, but I won't get into that right now. I don't need to go share our secrets, but I think, it was more of a defensive assignment. I think it worked, but I expect some changes to happen here moving forward.
Kevin, your secrets are safe with us.
Okay,
as
all
always.
right, thanks, guys.
You got it. Kevin Hambley, the Stanford head coach. His team takes set number 2, 25-15, the score in that first set. Set 1 went to Texas, 25-16. So what will happen in set 3? We'll find out when we come back to Maples. Texas never trailed in set 1. Stanford never trailed in set number 2. We're just a moment away from the start of set 3, and just a moment ago we talked with Texas head coach Jared Elliott. Jared, we saw you crunching the numbers. What stood out to you? We see the scoreboard, but what has been the difference statistically for your team from set 1 to set 2?
Well, we just got to play a little bit cleaner in the receive game. You know, I thought they played extremely well. I thought it was actually a pretty good game, but we just got to be cleaner. We got to get our middles involved more on the right side, and we were able to do that in game 1. And they flipped their lineup, so we'll see what we do here next.
Coach, it's such a game of momentum like no other. What is the message here as you get these guys ready for the 3rd set?
Hey, keep doing what we're doing. Let's just clean up our touches. Let's make sure that we're executing at a higher level and do a better job out of system.
Jared, thanks for your time.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Thoughts from Jared Owen, Eric Frey, Missy Whittemore back here with you. Your interpretation, what you saw in those first 2 sets.
You know, I think what we saw here is 2 teams who feel a different kind of pressure. Some groups feel the pressure to get there. These groups have that pressure to maintain the dominance that these programs have built. And so we've seen something a little lopsided. We saw Texas execute at the highest of levels in set 1, and now we see Stanford execute at an extremely high level in set 2. I think what we're going to see here is sort of a flattening out of the curve as they regress back to the mean. And I think we've got a lot of good volleyball ahead of us tonight.
You just executed at a high level for whatever happened behind. You didn't even know. You were so locked in. Focused athlete even to this day. You know who was focused and locked in? Katie Baird. You talked about it, Missy, that they're targeting her to the serve receive. Well, you know what she did in that 2nd set? 6 kills in that set alone, trying to get things going offensively for Stanford, and it worked out.
The thing about Katie Baird as a player is that she is so stable emotionally throughout the course of the match. She struggled offensively in the match here on Thursday night, and what does she do? She goes off for a season high in digs. She knows how to stay engaged, and that's what helps her as an athlete today. No struggle offensively for Katie Baird. She has 9 kills, hitting 300.
You see some of the leaders so far with Skinner and O'Neal teaming up for 17 kills. O'Neal hitting at 538. In that set, Texas hit 103. And Stanford hit 469. And it was interesting listening to Kevin Hambley, and this is, we're talking about the service errors. It sounds like that's not a problem for him because it means his team's being aggressive, and he really likes how aggressive they're serving right now.
I was here last year for the regional, and it was the same message. He is not one who's going to get on his team for service errors. That is a small indicator to him of what's happening at the service line, because what they're really interested in and what they're tracking is how much chaos are they causing with their serve. Because if you serve over an easy ball against a team like Texas, you might as well just roll it under the net. They're going to side out. So they have a lot more on their mind than whether or not it's an ace or an error. That is something that we're able to see in the box score, but it is just one indicator of what's happening at the service line, and he has no problem with those misses unless he feels like they've reached a point where they're not creating issues for the passer.
We've talked about it before. What's the target number for an excellent side-out percentage for a team in your opinion? 70%?
Yeah, I mean 70%. Yeah.
Okay, in that set, Texas was down to 58% after 88% in set 1. There was a violation and a point, double contact on Texas point for Stanford. And Stanford was 81% in that set.
Yeah, big performance by Stanford. As Coach Elliott said, they played really well. I mean, there's times at this level of the tournament that there are times that it's not anything you've done wrong. Just keep battling. You're playing elite opponents.
Madison Skinner's an elite opponent.
I think that's safe to say.
You look up elite opponent, her picture's in that dictionary because her numbers are amazing. 11 kills now. 26 against Tennessee.
And she's to the back row a little quicker than she had been in sets 1 and 2, so they rotate forward 1 as well, looking for a little better matchup.
Blocks O'Neal and Wennis at the net.
See if Madison Skinner can string together some points here for Texas, something they were not able to do in set 2.
Rubin long.
And that is almost hard to see with the naked eye. There is such pace on that swing down the line from Elia Rubin. I don't want to be the line judge, that's for sure. You better have your eye on the line when she goes up.
Second attack error for Rubin. 9 kills on 19 swings. Minor tried to pick the spot, could not. Good start here for Texas, this set up by 3.
Redirection by Minor on the second contact over, and you gotta love the idea just a little wide. And I would think that perhaps that's wide because of that big Texas block. She knows she has to find her way around that block. Can't go straight to the floor.
Skinner off the tape. Rubin goes with the changeup this time, and it works out. Point Stanford.
And Katie Baird is in the middle of the court, just passing perfect ball after perfect ball, going down to the floor, and she puts it right on top of Cami Minor, the off speed over the top.
Rubin with the service error. That's number 9 for Stanford. Gives Texas a free point.
And she's going for that deep, flat driving serve. I mean, she blasts that one into the top of the tape. If that one clears the tape, it's a really good serve, just inch off.
O'Neal. Overpass out of play. Actually, it's going to be an ace for O'Neal. And Texas on top by 4.
O'Neal here, the middle blocker who serves for Texas, doing a nice job. She's going zone 5 to zone 5. So she's standing in left back and serving into Stanford's left back. It's a cross-court serve that she's able to drive here.
Asia O'Neal has both of the Texas blocks. And then there's a kill on the right side from Francis. Texas thinking perhaps of a challenge. He was just checking, Jared Elliott was, with his team to see if anybody made contact.
Yeah,
got to give honest answers.
Yeah,
they said no.
He thought maybe it was out. And he says to Akana, did you touch that? She's like, yeah, actually, keep that green card in your pocket.
Ace for Stanford. That's their third is Pringle. Kevin Hambley mentioned her when we talked to him after the second set that she was a difference maker from the service line. And she delivers with the ace.
And this might be one of the most difficult positions on the floor, if you ask me, to come in as a true serving specialist. You know, just inserted into the game ever so often and expected to make a difference, and Pringle does it.
Bumped over by Bergmark. Chance here for Minor, working with Baird. Halter, back row attack, Skinner. Pringle bumps it. Wennis with the dig. Back row attack, Skinner again. For the kill, that's number 12.
Texas has attackers at both pins there. Bergmark going behind. You got Winnis way out there, and what do? They hang it up down the middle for Maddie Skinner. She comes flying in, and look at the adjustment midair. I mean, that's athleticism on display. Looks like she's going to swing away and then turns and taps it into a right back.
They serve Baird again. Kip tries to come back with the back row attack, but that is off the mark. And Stanford's going to call a timeout. Early timeout called by the Cardinal here in the third set with Texas up by 4, even at a set apiece.
Have fun, sis.
Can't stop adding stuff to your cart? Get the Bank of America customized cash rewards card. Choose the online shopping category and earn 3% cash back.
How do you measure the human spirit? In points? Distance? Maybe decibels? Or maybe there's no way to measure the human spirit. Because, as you remind us every day, it simply has no limit. Advent Health, official champion of the human spirit.
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen. Cannonball!
One week from tomorrow afternoon, and for the first time on ABC, a champion will be crowned. One spot is left in that national semifinal bracket. Pittsburgh, Nebraska, Wisconsin, all going to Tampa. Will it be Texas? Will it be Stanford joining the Florida party? Wenis off hands. Minor sends it to Baird. Good dig by Halter. Wenis into the net, point Stanford.
That's going to be the first attack error for Texas here in this third set. Stanford has 4 already, hitting negative 182. Texas was on fire, cools down a little to 167.
Overpass, Kip takes advantage. Stanford 3 straight points out of the timeout.
Cami Minor serving straight down the line at Jenna Wenis, and so what do? They make a quick adjustment to the serve receive. Maddie Skinner now down the line. Jenna Wenis passing in right back, and Cami Minor moving along the inline so she can continue to serve at Jenna Wenis. Very interesting.
That's up. Halter to Bergmark in the middle.
And you saw the net bouncing. That's a net violation against Stanford. We've said it several times over the course of this regional. We've seen some net violations that seem very uncharacteristic, but boy, these players are reaching with all of their worth to try to get some slowdowns on the block touch.
Halter to Bergmark, blocked back, and Skinner couldn't control it, and it's a point for Stanford.
That is going to be Stanford's first stuff block of the match, a block that actually scores a point rather than just extends the rally. That is the first one. Credit it to Vicini, a player who often flies under the radar, even though she's second in the entire Pac-12 in blocks per set over the course of the season.
That gives her 18 blocks total for the NCAA tournament, by the way. Texas with 4 blocks as a team here tonight. Ogilvy, Rubin, tied at 9.
Rubin, double-digit kills for Stanford, leading the way in this match and leading the way in the entire NCAA tournament. Elia Rubin, the sophomore. She is a star in the making.
5-1 scoring run for the Cardinal. And it ends with the service error. Double digits now for Stanford with 10.
This is a big rotation for Texas right now. They've got their libero at the service line and Emma Halter in a very good front row. So it's important here that Emma Halter put some nice serves in play and allow this front row to score some points.
Phillips, O'Neal, and Skinner right to left. And Stanford gets the point right back.
And that'll put a big smile on your face if you're Kevin Hambley, because boy, you don't want to stay in that rotation for long. What a great swing there by Vicini. She's able to front her setter, get around the front of her setter with that pass, even into left front. That was well done.
Now Kip, Rubin, and Francis up front for Stanford, and the service error will give it right back to Texas.
Doesn't it feel like Elena Ogilvy going with a little different style serve, a little more pace on it, some top spin? We saw her do it in set 2 as well, and she's just gone long with it, but I feel like a little different style.
Part of the mindset of being aggressive, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Just trying to...
Giving the passers a little something different to think about.
Give a little bit more, right? Akana. Minor, back to Kip. Halter, O'Neal on the slide. And Stanford couldn't pull it off the net, and it's a point for Texas.
Three back row specialists across the back for Texas.
Rubin, off hands, point. Stanford.
And that's why that is such an elite swing by Elliott Rubin. Off the blocker's hands, well into the stands. There's no defense against that. It doesn't matter if you have 4 defensive specialists across the back row. That ball is off the block, out of bounds. No chance of playing that one. Really nice shot there by Elliott Rubin.
Yep, it's the nets. 12 service errors for Stanford. Kendall Kipp grabbing at that right wrist.
Stanford had 12 service errors in their sweep loss to Arizona State this year and 14 service errors in their loss to Florida this year, which was also a sweep.
Keep an eye on Kipp, see if she's all right. She's still flexing that right hand and wrist. That's going to be out of play. And Texas back up by 3, so they have fought back after the Stanford run.
Yeah, Eric, you don't get to this point in the season and play as hard as Madison Skinner and Kendall Kipp without a few bumps and bruises. I noticed Madison Skinner's left hand heavily taped tonight.
I think we noticed that when she sat down with us after the win over Tennessee. They're playing on. You can see Jared Elliott, top right of your screen, wanted something called in real time. Nothing was. Jared Elliott's been shown a yellow card.
I'm not sure that Coach Elliott likes it, but the Stanford fans sure do.
Madison Skinner will come over and talk with our R1. There's no penalty for the yellow card. Just don't get another one.
Exactly. You have been warned. And he did not like the contact there from Stanford. Felt that it was a throw, a double contact, and that is not reviewable.
That's why he cannot go to the challenge card. That's the setter with the kill. Cami Minor with the swing.
And for Texas, they don't want to let one bad play turn into 2 points for Stanford. They got to settle in right here.
Minor with her 6th kill of the tournament, 71st of the season. So if given the opportunity, she'll take the swing. Venice says it was touched. The officials agree. Point Texas.
Nice high, hard swing there by Jenna Winnes. Gets a piece of those blockers' hands.
O'Neal looking out towards Katie Baird. Ogilvie jumps in front of Baird to receive it, and then it was Rubin and Minor who both played it, so a point for Texas.
You don't see that very often from this experienced Stanford team, but to your point earlier, Eric, it's the NCAA tournament. There are a lot of emotions here. You saw Elena Ogilvie kind of cut Katie Baird off, trying to help her with the pass, but it really created a pass straight up in the air that caused some problem.
Ogilvie and receive here, joust at the net. The setter wins the joust.
Asia O'Neal nailed that serve. She was creating all sorts of issues there on the seam between Elena Ogilvie and Katie Baird, but Cami Minor bails out her passers with a huge victory on the joust.
Quick offense, quick point for Bergmark and Texas.
Thumb down for Bergmark, coming in and taking it right out of her setter's hands. Bergmark is not a player that they're going to use a whole lot offensively. The key is when you use her, is it effective? And so it was a great choice there by Ella Swindle. Nice time to go to the middle.
3 kills in the 5-setter against Tennessee. She's got 3 kills tonight. Back row attack. Kendall Kipp. That's in. Point Stanford.
And I hope you can appreciate this at home, because this is a thing of beauty. This pass set from Cami Minor. And you've got Kendall Kipp. She has to take off from behind the 3-meter or 10-foot line there in black on the court. She lands so close to the net, you might not realize she's coming out of the back row when she attacks that. And you'll see something very similar from Maddie Skinner for Texas.
Set back for Kipp. Halter is the one who kept it alive. Ogilvie to Baird, off hands. That's Skinner saving it. Off the scoreboard. They could have played it because it came back on the Texas side. Bad break for the Longhorns right there. And Stanford's within one.
And I tell you, that's another home court advantage for Stanford. They're used to playing balls off that scoreboard.
Timeout, Texas. Jared Elliott spending the first part of this timeout just trying to make a final point on that point that did not go the Longhorns' way earlier. Well, we hope you've enjoyed watching this Saturday of volleyball that has been fantastic, from Pittsburgh to Lincoln to Madison and now to Stanford. And for more information on all 90 NCAA championships, visit ncaa.com. I am a huge fan, I know you are too, of the back row attack. And you have two incredibly athletic players in Kendall Kipp and Madison Skinner, two setters who know when to find those teammates attacking for the back row. I mean, you're getting in the front row with Kipp and with Skinner in the back row, and the back row with, you get it, there comes Kipp. I mean, I love it.
You see the diversity. This is no longer an out-of-system option. This is a first option in many rotations for these two teams because of the athleticism of Kendall Kipp and the athleticism of Madison Skinner. And I tell you what, this was one of the big things that Texas felt coming into this match would be a difference. At the beginning of the season, with a young setter and so much to acclimate to, they did not have the big attack up and running yet. That is not the case now. Maddie Skinner, quite the option.
Now you saw Kendall Kipp coming out of that timeout. She was getting a tape job on that right hand. She was playing with the wrist we saw earlier, and now so tape being placed on that wrist. You mentioned before Skinner, we saw the bruise, which she had also just about lost her voice in that 5-set match.
Yes.
So laying it all out there.
Here it comes.
Spot on the line in the NCAA tournament. There's that back row attack again. Stanford was prepared for it, but there's not much you can do with it sometimes.
And you'll see the attackers are on the two pins there. So they've got Jenna Winnis way out at the left pin. They've got Bergmark going behind. And not only is it a great attacker, but it's that great attacker against just one block down the middle. They don't get that opportunity in the front row very often.
Kipp off hands. Barnes couldn't get there. Point for the Cardinal.
And when it comes right down to it, in the must-have situation, what do we have? Back-to-back kills from Madison Skinner and Kendall Kipp. The setters know who to go to in those moments.
Katie Baird set to serve. Set back for Phillips with the kill. Molly Phillips with her third kill on her 10th swing.
Molly Phillips, such an interesting player for Texas. Sometimes she's not the one in the spotlight. They have so many offensive weapons, but that particular swing had a little more on it than I think what we have seen from her over the course of this tournament.
Rubin, Swindle and O'Neal collide. Swindle trying to save it, and it's a point for Stanford. Now Stanford has gotten here a few times within one, but then Texas has been able to side out and keep Kevin Hambly's team in the rearview mirror.
It was a really nice decision by Elia Rubin to try to stress Swindle, the freshman setter for Texas. So many decisions she has to make, so much on her plate, and now Elia Rubin asking her to do a lot defensively as well.
O'Neal slowed down. Kipp has to reset. Swindle goes for Skinner, and Skinner gets the kill. Another side out for Texas.
The pickup here by Halter is really nice as you see those players crossing lanes there, keeping everything off the floor, and Maddie Skinner, the big cross court.
One spot remaining in Tampa. Texas and Stanford playing for it here at Maples. Tight here in set three, even at a set apiece. The block, the point for Texas, and a little separation here in set three.
The block was hot for Texas early on. It cooled down a little, but the resurgence with Asia O'Neal up at the net, sealing the deal.
Asia O'Neal has been one of the very best players in college volleyball for years. She's a 6-time Big 12 champion. She had a redshirt season. Of course, she has battled so many challenges, open heart surgery at age 13, again in 2020, but every time she gets knocked down, she comes back. And her first meeting with Jared Elliott was brought up by the Texas head coach on their way here to Stanford. He wanted to remind her that they had met when she was in 8th grade back 10 years ago. He was watching her at a tournament, and that's when she first got on the Texas radar, and now she's one of the very best players in Longhorns history. Of course, her dad, Jermaine, competed at a pretty high level, and he's got a pretty elite shirt game as well.
Tell you what, that family's been through a lot. 2 open heart surgeries for Asia O'Neal to be where she is today. And her dad doesn't like to miss any of it. They have such a close bond. It is so fun to watch.
You've watched Asia O'Neal for years. What stands out to you about her game? Obviously, she's so talented physically. You could be looking at a future Olympian sooner rather than later there.
There's several players on this floor who could be future Olympians, but Asia O'Neal perhaps quicker than any of them. She actually spent the summer with this senior national team. We could see her in the Olympics as soon as this summer. I think what stands out to me about Asia, though, is that she's a gamer. Game on the line. Who finished the match for Texas against Tennessee? Asia O'Neal. She's a closer. She knows how to finish. She's a competitor. And she's a two-way middle, a true two-way middle. She blocks balls, but she scores with her offense as well.
On that September 3rd match against Stanford, she was coming off an injury. It was just her 2nd match of the season. And that's why Texas was 2-2 to start the year, as Texas sends it back over to Stanford out of the timeout. Then the block. Guess who? O'Neal teaming up with Halter.
We said it's a game of momentum, and if you want to create it, it's all about blocking. Blocking might be the biggest momentum creator in the game, that and aces. And I tell you what, Asia O'Neal doing her part to create some momentum.
Swindle at the net with O'Neal on the block, and Asia O'Neal gets the point for Texas, and then the ace for the Longhorns.
Spread some more momentum on, right? Blocking, aces, and the fans are on their feet.
Kayleigh Akana to serve. Texas with their largest lead of this set. Serves it at Rubin. Halter with the dig. Skinner with the hammer.
That one was right in front of us, and that was a little something extra. Big time swing from Madison Skinner.
Texas, like they did in set 1, keeping their foot on the gas and pushing that pedal down a little bit more here, trying to go up 2-1. Set point, Longhorns. Off the block, points for Stanford.
Ella Swindle really just making a move to play the deflection off the block, and then the ball goes into the top of the net. Just one of those, you got to roll it under the net and move on.
Texas jumped out to a 4-1 lead in this set. It's been tight for the most part until the latter part of set number 3. Skinner to end the set. Texas, 1-set win away from Tampa.
Your Big 12 Player of the Year, unanimous, by the way, showing you why. She's got 16 kills, leading everyone in the match.
The Texas Longhorns with 2 sets. Stanford with 1-1. Stanford needs to win the 4th to set up a 5th. That 4th set is next. Let's celebrate the winners today from coast to coast. The Pitt Panthers, a reverse sweep to make it to their 3rd straight national semifinal. Nebraska, #1 overall seed. They knocked off Arkansas in 4 sets, their 17th national semifinal appearance. And for the 6th time, Wisconsin going to the national semifinal. The 2021 national champions knocked off Oregon in 4 sets. That means, Missy Whittemore, we have 1 open spot on the bracket Texas and Stanford playing now. The winner takes on Wisconsin in Tampa on Thursday.
You know, this speaks, though, to the importance of the entire season. You're always, throughout the year, playing for that top 4 seed in the tournament because you get the opportunity to host. And we're seeing what a huge advantage that has been over the course of the day. Can Stanford take advantage of their home court?
Numbers through 3. The big number in that third set, Texas hit 364. Stanford was held to 219 on the attack.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting here is Texas is winning the block game, as we well expected, but right now they're beating Stanford at their own game, because when you look at the numbers on the match, you've got Texas hitting 321 to Stanford's 310. They're outdoing them in the hitting efficiency game. And remember, coming into this match, it's Stanford who has led the country this season in hitting efficiency.
310 is a very good number. It is slightly below Stanford's average. That is number 1 in the country at 318. Fourth set is underway. Texas with the serve. If they win this set, they're going to Tampa. If Stanford wins, we'll play a 5th set here at Naples. All hands, and the Cardinals get the first point of set 4.
Katie Baird, we've mentioned Kendall Kipp and McKenna Vicini, a part of that team that won it in 2019. Vicini and Baird had both redshirted. Kendall Kipp played in 1 point of that championship match. So this is the most decorated team in the nation, but realize Texas, last year's defending champ, has players on the floor who have done it. They did it just a season ago. We're going to see how it plays out.
Skinner, just long, point Stanford. Holter and Bergmark and Skinner and O'Neal and Akana and Phillips, all national champions a year ago, who we've seen on the floor here for Texas. Barnes getting her first taste, the transfer from Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and there's the first point of this set for Texas.
This is a combo play that they run on the regular behind the setter, Bergmark and Molly Phillips. And sometimes they'll go with a quick to Bergmark, and sometimes they float it past her to Molly Phillips. And interestingly, that time I think there was actually confusion between the 2 attackers. They didn't know who was going to take it.
Back row attack from Kipp.
So good, we're going to watch it again. We talked about the back row attacks here by Kipp and Skinner blasting it high off the block.
That block provided by O'Neal. Not much gets past her. Swindle runs it quickly to O'Neal, denied by Stanford. The back set up high on Rubin, who tried to get out of the way to give Ogilvy a chance, but she ran out of room, and it's a point for Texas.
And I like the setting choice there for Texas, going behind to Molly Phillips. Distribution is key for them. Keep the defense honest, and a really nice choice there. Eats the defense up. Molly Phillips pushing it deep, and that Stanford defense will have a tendency to get short in the court.
Minor to Baird. Swindle to O'Neal on the slide.
This might be my favorite O'Neal play that we see because it's coast to coast. She's blocking in left front and then comes down. You see she's got the spin off the net, the stutter step, and then just chases it to the antenna. It's just her athleticism just highlighted.
Point for Stanford. Cardinal back in front. Cardinal beat Arizona State in 4 sets. That match started at 9:50 Pacific time, in case you forgot.
Yes.
You see.
Lack of sleep, I may have forgotten, actually.
It ended 12:04 Pacific time. Service error for Stanford. So that was a very late night. Both teams took it a little easier yesterday because it was the 5-setter for Texas against Tennessee. Texas had a little fun at practice yesterday, but they were getting some serve work in. Both really appreciative of the fact that there was a day off between the regional semifinal and the regional final. Kendall Kipp, that missed the mark.
Slightly mistimed. You could see that she was on her way down when she took a swing at that ball, and that's why it sails long.
And you tell too, she took the tape off that right wrist. Now seeing this, remember she had that tape on, so it just must not have been comfortable. Jenna Wynn is kind of screening us right there. Ace. The Longhorns up by 2 as Skinner delivers.
Madison Skinner getting it done offensively in the front row, and now from the service line. Interesting, when you look at the numbers, Texas only has Madison Skinner in double digits in kills, while Stanford has 3 players in double digits in kills. So Stanford finds their points differently. They rely on Asia O'Neal offensively, and they rely more on their block to score.
Skinner showing some defense, laying out to keep that one in play. Rubin been quiet for a little while, but not any longer. That's up to 15 kills now for Elia Rubin. She's leading Stanford in that category.
And they don't just need Elia Rubin's offense, they need her energy, they need her emotion. She is a spark plug for this team. She can light the fire.
That is her first kill of this 4th set. She's hitting .379 for the match. And an ace, couldn't handle the serve. And Stanford has come back to tie it at 6.
Elena Ogilvie drills one down the line here. Texas yet to make a change. They've still got Jenna Winnes passing down the line. We'll see if Ogilvie goes right back at her.
Winnes on the right side. Halter, the libero. Winnes tried to get there. It was really tight to the net, and the Cardinal took advantage to go in front.
Halter tried to squeeze her on the passing lane there and give her a little help, but it wasn't a full committed squeeze, and it just seemed like some hesitation from Halter. Now it looks as though Jenna Winnes has stepped closer to the line. They've moved Emma Halter over a bit.
Swindle to O'Neal for the kill.
And Ogilvie went away from the area that was giving Texas trouble. They go away from Jenna Winnes and Halter over there, serving on Maddie Skinner, who just nails it.
Ten kills for O'Neal tonight, 40 for the tournament. Back set, Kip hangs up there. O'Neal calls for it, trying to set it for Winnes. O'Neal's getting blocks, she's getting kills, now she's getting assists.
This is rare, and I mean, this is why O'Neal could be an Olympian, because she is such a great volleyball player, can do it all. The assist using her hands from left back, you gotta love it.
Gonna add an ace to the collection. She's already got a couple here tonight. Rubin answers back. Kill number 16 for Rubin. That matches Skinner to the match high.
The decision-making of Cami Minor. It's a tight pass, really a nice pass though for Cami Minor, because she has the ability to jump set, so that's just fine with her. She goes up and gets it, and she's able to shoot it past the middle.
This is interesting here. Jordan Harvey has come on here, and Harvey almost serves up an ace. Texas still in the point, and Skinner sends it, and now it's going to be a point for Texas. It was Kip that rotated out, so she didn't serve, so that wrist is definitely an issue, you would think, for Kendall Kip, as Harvey will check out.
Kendall Kip led the Pac-12 with nearly a half an ace per set. She's a very good server. They don't take her out from the serving position unless there's some discomfort there.
52 total aces on the season entering tonight for Kip. None tonight. Rubin. Back row attack. Again, Skinner with the kill.
Cami Minor trying to give a little assistance there on the block, knowing they got to have 2 blocks up there against that back row attack of Maddie Skinner, but good communication from her team. She swings away from Minor, able to get it off the hands of Sammy Francis.
Minor, Kip on the back row attack. Texas there with the block. That's number 7 for the Longhorns, and Stanford will use a timeout.
Early in the match, it was Stanford using a triple block. Now here we are, 3 blockers up for Texas, and they get the big stop against Kendall Kip, leading 10-8 here in set 4.
Feel. Well, they have met in the national championship match one time, and it wasn't too long ago, 2016 in Columbus. Stanford won in 4 sets for their 7th title. They have since added 2 more national championships in 2018 and 2019.
That was an elite Stanford team. Jenna Gray, Morgan Hintz. As freshmen, they claim the title there, come back to win 2 more with Kevin Hambly in back-to-back years in 18 and 19.
Now Stanford has to win this set and set 5 to have a chance to play for a 10th national championship in Tampa. Right now, Texas in control, up 2-1 and leading by 3 in set number 4. Minor, Rubin, great save, but then the hammer dropped by Sammy Francis.
Great defensive effort on the part of Texas just to keep the ball alive, but that's all they can do because Sammy Francis buries it.
Jenna Wennis kept it up, but then the kill, much needed point for Stanford. Back row attack from Skinner, and that one is long. Texas is looking towards Jared Elliott about a potential challenge, and he's going to bring out the challenge card.
Such an important point here in this 4th set.
We're going to challenge if this is in or out, not a touch. So the call is out. As they start to review it at the scores table, our tape room, our crew, just want to take this one moment to give special thanks to producer Carol Lagana, director Dennis Lanius. That is our fastest review by a factor of 10 here at Stanford this weekend. And our entire crew who did a fantastic job in that really long day into night, into morning here on Thursday. And following it up with great work here today.
The Texas fans happened to be sitting right on the inline where that ball landed, and they were on their feet. They were letting the bench know that ball was in. So I think that helped Jared Elliott make his decision to pull the challenge card.
Very quick review. Successful challenge and a successful block. Texas now with 8 blocks in the match. They're up by 4.
Bella Bergmark that time alongside Molly Phillips. Again, this is a team, you're not second in the nation with 2.95 blocks per set coming into this weekend if you don't have blockers in every rotation, and Texas does.
Service error number 6 for Texas. So the Cardinal have a point, and they'll bring on Anna Pringle to serve. Swindle to Skinner. Stanford scrambling right now. Baird just has to bump it over. Swindle sets it to Bergmark for the kill.
Ella Swindle with a crafty little shot here. She stays on her feet. Watch this. Doesn't jump set. Doesn't want to give it away. And then just hangs it up in the middle for Bella Bergmark.
Swindle listening to her head coach. Remember, Jared Elliott told us after the second set he wanted to get the middles involved more. That's what worked really well in the first set. And Bergmark, one of those middles, getting the kill there. Baird throws it down. They're going to call it a point. Did she catch it and throw it, or was it enough of a hit to throw down? Remember, you can't make the catch and toss it down.
It was a power shove, but I think Katie Baird was on top of the ball, so it was one motion to the floor. You know, the fact that she's up so high and on top of it, that's clean in my opinion.
A couple of Texas players were shaking their head, but right call. Now an ace. Cami Minor. Skinner in serve receive. Skinner with the kill.
Serving Maddie Skinner has been a miss for Stanford here in this 4th set. There's been a couple times they have gone at her, and it looks as though that's their choice, but in my opinion, that's a miss, because right now she is in a passing groove, and even though she's in the front row there, they go at her hoping to maybe take her out, but right now I think she's finding rhythm with pass, and some players like to pass and hit, and I think Maddie Skinner might be one of them.
She likes a challenge, and she rises to every challenge. We've seen that. A 2-time national champion trying to get back to the national semifinals. Kip dropped that one in. Kendall Kip with their 14th kill of the match.
Here's another player rising to the challenge. Great picture of the elevation of Kendall Kipp, so high. And the wrist looked okay right there, didn't it?
Look at it. It's at a point now.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens, how Kevin Hambley wants to play it when it comes to her chance to serve. But
adrenaline is a powerful thing.
Adrenaline is flowing. Oh, there's Stanford with the block. How about that? Just their second of the match.
This ball's a little lower and inside. A push set to the outside, not as much room for Maddie Skinner to work with, and Kendall Kipp seals it up. That is a big block.
Cardinal had 12 blocks in the win against Arizona State. Just 2 so far here tonight. Skinner off of Ogilvy. 21 kills for Maddie Skinner on 42 swings.
And Eric, you talked blocking. In the match earlier this season between these two, Stanford had 13 blocks to Texas's 6. That almost seems hard to believe.
Big part of the story here while Texas is in front in this set and in the match. Rubin, Texas block is there, and again.
That's a net violation, I believe, against Jenna Winnis there.
Winnis and O'Neal were shaking their heads and their hands, but that is the call. Ogilvy will come on to serve, or head back to serve, rather, for Stanford. Will this play out in a similar fashion to the previous set, where Stanford would get within a point, and Texas would come back, side out, and come up with a point? There's step one right there. Winnis with a great rip down the line.
That was the rotation where they'd had a little trouble passing, and they passed with 4. We haven't seen that in a while. Maddie Skinner and Jenna Winnis both back there on the wings to help in serve receive. And then Jenna Winnis comes through with a big out-of-system swing.
There's O'Neal, a couple of aces tonight for Texas. Runs up on Baird. Rubin turns it down for the kill.
Nasty. No defense for that. That's at the 5-foot line from Elia Rubin off of a bump set out of the back row. Are you kidding me? Incredible. So good.
Kendall Kipp stays on to serve for Stanford. Skinner from the back row again. 22 kills and counting.
Here she comes, right down the middle. They're splitting the block again. Attackers at the antennas, and you better not lose sight of Maddie Skinner.
Skinner's gone for 20 or more in each of Texas's 4 matches in this tournament. Francis, Rubin, block back. Phillips and Bergmark, and Stanford needs a timeout. So the only noise in this building right now, outside of the noise provided by the DJ, is the noise from those wearing burnt orange in this building. And they can be loud. Timeout 19-16 here in the 4th. A reminder, coming up on Sunday afternoon, that is still tomorrow in all time zones on ESPN, 10th Annual Basketball Hall of Fame Women's Showcase doubleheader at Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut. Top-ranked Gamecocks taking on the Utes at 2:30 Eastern Time. UConn, North Carolina, Game 2 of that doubleheader. And between games, the 23rd Annual WNBA Draft Lottery from Bristol. That's all coming up on Sunday on ESPN. Let's talk adjustments. How do you slow down Madison Skinner if you're the Stanford Cardinal?
Well, you look at the numbers, and Texas has 9 blocks right now, and Stanford only has 2. So I think the defense at the net, they've got to get some block deflections. This is an elite Stanford defense, but they've got to have some block deflections in order to play defense behind that, and they're just not touching enough of Madison Skinner's balls.
Texas has been pretty clean.
Yes.
Just 2 attack errors in this set, just 10 for the match, and as a result, Texas is hitting .355 tonight.
You know, you got to score points, but there's different ways to do it. The distribution for Stanford is about the pins. They have double-digit kills from all 3 pins. When you look at Texas, you think, oh, it's a little lopsided. Madison Skinner with 22 kills, and the next closest player is Asia O'Neal with 10. Only 2 players in double digits, but guess what? They have 9 stuff blocks. So they're able to make up for some of that loss of offense with the defensive production that they score on.
Also 5 aces as well. Francis, there's another block. That's 10 for Texas.
So while you've got 3 players in double-digit kills, now you've got 2 players in double-digit kills for Texas and double-digit blocks. And we can't say it enough. It's every Texas player. Credit Jenna Winnis for this one. Everyone gets in on the blocking action.
And that is service error for Ella Swindle. We'll give a point to Stanford. Texas, the first team to 20 here in this 4th set. Texas wins this set. The match is over. They go to Tampa and join Pittsburgh and Nebraska and Wisconsin. Phillips, great save by Stanford. Still in the points. Ogilvy, Katie Baird. Some of that Stanford fight that turned things around after set 1. They're going to need a lot of that down the stretch, and Texas wants a timeout.
Stanford had to have it. Who do they go to? Katie Baird.
Baird now with 13 kills, but the story right now is Maddie Skinner for Texas. She had 20 kills in the opener against Texas A&M in the NCAA tournament, 21 against SMU, 26 a career high in the 5-setter against Tennessee, and 22 tonight with a spot in Tampa on the line.
Every match in the NCAA tournament, 20-plus kills. To produce that consistently night in and night out, it's the focus, it's the maturity that she plays with. She is so consistently competitive. And I tell you, I mean, they go to her so often. She is the only player on this Texas team playing in all 6 rotations, aside from the setter. They ask her to pass in at least 3 of those rotations. If they get in trouble, they might pull her into more. She has a lot on her plate, and boy, does she have some poise.
And how does she do it? How does she get better as the match goes along? She's taken 43 swings here today. And again, against Tennessee, she had 5 kills in the 4th set and 6 kills in that decisive 5th set. It's that competitive piece you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just finding that other level. Not everybody can do that. Match summary, Texas hitting at a high number, 349. Stanford below their season average. Number 1 team in the country in hitting percentage at 318. The block's the big story, a +8 in that category for Texas. Out of the Texas timeouts, Rubin back to serve. Alter on serve receive. Drop back, and Stanford's got a point. And they're within a point.
And that was one of the first times that I felt like the set to the middle was a little obvious. You know, the block for Stanford was right there, and they even had help from Katie Baird. That's maybe a time that you set away from the middle. That one was expected.
Service error for Rubin. That is number 14 for Stanford.
14 service errors for Stanford, for Texas 7. They have doubled Texas up in terms of serving errors, and the aces are a wash. It's 5 apiece.
Minor back row attack for Kip. 16 kills for Kendall Kip.
The same play we're seeing from Texas out of Maddie Skinner. We're seeing from Stanford out of Kendall Kip. Again, look how they've split the net. Attacker behind, attacker in front, and the middle of the net wide open for a flying Kendall Kip.
Pringle, Swindle, Skinner. There's the dig, tight for Baird, still in play. Skinner again, dug out by Rubin. Baird, another Texas block. 11.
Those were incredibly good swings by Maddie Skinner, and the defense from Stanford just stood their ground. They matched that offensive firepower with great defense, and what's the one thing that can finish it? The Texas block is unstoppable.
Bergmark with 7 blocks tonight. Baird did well with it. Wasn't the perfect pass, but she made the most of it, and Stanford gets one back.
Twice now, the high power tip working for Katie Baird because she's able to get up over that block and push it to the floor deep into the court.
Can Cammie Minor go on a serve run here? There's step one. It's an ace, and we're tied in the 4th set. Skinner. You need a point. Maddie Skinner's the target. Texas 2 points away from Tampa.
You said it moments ago, Eric. How does she get better as the match goes on? It's this competitiveness that allows her to take it to the next level. It's incredible.
And you know that Ella Swindle is going to feed her. You just can't stop it sometimes. There's Kayleigh Akana serving for Texas. Skinner! Match point, Texas. Kayleigh Akana served championship point last year. Now trying to send Texas to Tampa. Off the antenna. Texas is going to Tampa. For the 15th time and 11th time in the last 16 seasons, Texas moving on to the national semifinals.
And for the first time today, a top 4 seed has been defeated. Texas comes in on Stanford's home court, and the defending champs will return to the national semifinals in Tampa.
Madison Skinner had 9 of her 24 kills in the 4th set. The Cardinal leave the court for the final time this season. Kendall Kipp, McKenna Vicini, Katie Baird, all part of that national championship team in 2019. Their seasons come to a close. The Longhorns will salute their fans. Texas wins it in the 4th set to advance on to Tampa. So the times now are set for the national semifinals. Semifinal number 1, the overall number 1 seed, Nebraska, will take on Pittsburgh. 7 o'clock Eastern time Thursday on ESPN. And then semifinal number 2, it will be Wisconsin and Texas.
This team hit 400 in the 4th set alone. Incredible performance to close it out.
3:42 for the match. Jared Elliott and his wife, Asia O'Neal, sharing some hugs with the Texas staff. Her career was not going to come to an end here today. This match ends with Kayleigh Akana at the service line, as it's done so many times before. Tears of joy and relief. It is such a challenge when you're the defending national champions. The target is so big and the pressure is enormous. And even though Jared Elliott lost the National Player of the Year in Logan Eggleston, and so many great players, we think about Zoe Fleck and Kahina Torres, and that's got to be just a great relief for Elliott and his staff. And now Texas, the celebration continues. I think there's a giant ticket for them to throw the sticker on. We've shown everybody else doing that. There's a trophy being walked over towards Texas. They have their eyes on it. They've got good practice in raising these regional championship trophies. Just give it to the mascot. You can never go wrong with that. And then Asia O'Neal, she stood tall again today, didn't she? 10 kills, 5 blocks, hit .474, had a couple of aces and a couple of assists.
Yes, she did. What a career, and it's not over yet. By the way, she's been a part of 6 Big 12 championships at Texas.
Maddie Skinner gets the Longhorn sticker. Oh yeah, just make sure those horns are straight. If you're gonna hook them right, Maddie. Well, that semifinal, we talked about Stanford, Texas having a national championship feel. How about semifinal number 2 next week with the last 2 national champions going head-to-head in Wisconsin and Texas?
It only gets better.
Jared Elliott better get in there and photobomb this team photo, yes.
It's not very often you get an opportunity to avenge a loss and at the same time earn yourself a trip to the national semifinals. And Texas had that opportunity. They had to take that show on the road. Not a top 4 seed this year, as they so often are. But boy, do they come into Stanford and turn some heads.
Skinner, I have a feeling that sign's not going to leave her side as she takes it on the plane. She wants to celebrate with her teammates, and rightfully so. I would love to have a quick little conversation, but off they go, running towards the locker room, and they're just going to go celebrate in the locker room. Water bottles will be flying back there in just a moment. Congratulations to the Texas Longhorns. They are heading to Tampa, Pittsburgh, Nebraska, Wisconsin, and now Texas. 4 for Florida, and we are set for Thursday at Emily Arena. It's been our absolute pleasure to be with you here at Stanford. For Missy Whittemore and our entire crew, producer Kara Lagana, director Dennis Lanius, I'm Eric Freed. Thank you so much for joining us. Hook 'em horns! They're heading to Tampa.